What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be checking out a video from the Wandering Ravens, the 18 biggest differences between British and American TV. Honestly, I'm kind of surprised that there are 18 differences between British and American TV. I have no idea what is going to be on this list.
I can think of maybe like one or two things, but 18 is a lot. I just can't imagine what they are.
I'm not really sure what exactly they're going to be diving into. There is something that pops into my head when I see differences in British and American TV.
Which is?
And that is that humor specifically in the UK, a lot of times it tends to be more self-deprecating.
Self-deprecating, dry, maybe a little more dark.
Right.
Yeah.
Is that one of the differences they're going to talk about
I
here?
bet it is.
I would think so. I mean,
and the other difference I think of is the fact that a lot of UK TV series have shorter seasons, as we call them.
We just learned that recently.
On purpose. It's not because they're not popular or not because people didn't like them, but because they had a specific plan for the show, and once that's done, it's done. And
it was all pre-planned, it seems like, from the start. Whereas, you know, a perfect example of this is The Office.
Yeah,
it went for
Office, the original Office.
Right, it went for 2 seasons, supposedly, in the UK, and then they stopped, even though it was a good show and people liked it. It came over to the US, and it went for, I don't even know how many seasons.
I can't remember, but it was a lot. It dragged on for a while.
Yeah. So anyways, guys, enough rambling. Let's go ahead and jump in here and check out the 18 biggest differences between British and American TV.
To help you know where the observations in this video are coming from, some of the British shows that we've dabbled in include Fawlty Towers, Blackadder, Peep Show, The League of Gentlemen, The Office, The IT Crowd, Still Game, Monty Python, Only Fools and Horses, The Windsors, The Crown, Dairy Girls, Friday Night Dinner, Bake Off, 8 out of 10 Cats, QI, The Peaky Blinders, and of course, the Queen's Christmas Speech.
That was a lot. And I feel like a lot of those we have been recommended a bunch. So
I wish
like quintessential British.
I literally wish I had the time to actually sit down and watch a bunch of TV shows. We just don't have the time. I think when you're childless, it is a little bit easier to find the time to actually sit down and watch certain shows.
We also watched a fair amount of American TV shows. The Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, How I Met Your Mother, Arrested Development, Parks and Rec, The Dick Van Dyke Show, I Love Lucy, The Americans, The Boys, Brooklyn Nine-Nine, Family Guy, and a single episode of True Detective.
I honestly don't know if I've seen that many television shows in my lifetime.
Total.
No, I mean, I really have. It's an exaggeration, but like
from start to finish, complete series.
Right. I just don't have the time to do it. I wish I did.
Yeah. I'm surprised they didn't throw in the American Office in there, considering they watched the original version.
Yeah, that's true. That would have been interesting to compare certain shows that started in the UK and ended up in the US, or vice versa. You know what I mean? Yeah. I'm sure there's many more than The Office. I'm sure we share a number of different television shows that have been from one country to the other.
Over.
Yeah.
It's been really fun to watch a combination of British and American shows and analyze the differences between the two. Because if you know us, you know that we were sitting there watching Still Game with notebook in hand, taking notes on British culture while we were doing it. So today we're going to be talking about all of these brilliant and colorful differences that we noticed, starting with
common tropes. So I think an exclusively American trope would be homecoming and prom.
That's true.
Yeah,
These
it's a
very common
popular
in American TV. But of course, non-existent in British TV.
And then, of course, with that whole party culture in American TV, you're going to have the red cups thing.
Red Solo cups,
Red Solo
realize
cups.
that was a trope because they're so ubiquitous in American culture. But as you guys have commented on a lot of videos, apparently the red Solo cups are a uniquely American trope. I grew up drinking out of those cups. Yeah.
You grew up drinking out of those cups.
Well, there wasn't always alcohol in them.
Another common American trope is idealized or satirized middle-class families.
Oh, that's a really good one, because in almost every American sitcom, comedy, drama, they really center around middle-class people. Another American trope that kind of goes hand in hand with that idealized or satirized middle class trope is suburban culture, because the suburbs in America are where most middle class people live. When you think of Family Guy too, a lot of those cartoons, they're always based in the suburbs.
Yeah, like in a neighborhood, suburban neighborhood.
Suburbia. Another American trope would be that socially awkward character or grumpy character, or the one that's always angry, who has a heart of gold. You know, they're genuine.
I'm okay with this.
So kind of like in Arrested Development, they're all toxic characters, but they do genuinely care about each other and they have touching moments. Now let's hop across the pond, UK, British TV tropes.
Okay, so it's interesting that they brought up that the middle class thing is an American trope. I would feel like that would be, kind of world over for television shows.
Think.
I'm very interested to see where they're going to go with the British tropes. And I guess I kind of understand the whole homecoming thing.
It is a very popular topic in movies and shows here.
And I think it's not as big a deal. I don't even know. Do you guys have something called homecoming?
I don't think so, because I feel like we've touched on this briefly
a
in
little
other
bit.
videos.
Yeah.
And I feel like in the comments people are like, that's not a thing here. Just like high school sports and stuff here is a really big thing. Like you even have like homecoming dances after, and it's just not a thing.
What are some things that you've noticed?
Ooh. Well, one that comes to mind right off the bat is just roast dinners. In America, we don't
Roast
talk
dinners.
about having
Sunday
a roast
roast?
dinner quite that often. Like, never. Only for Thanksgiving. But in British TV, they'll often refer to a roast dinner they had, or a roast dinner they're going to make, or, just roast dinners. That's a common thing that is discussed.
Are you a naval man, Derek?
No, James. I'm more of a leg man myself.
And similar step with that, I think we have pub culture, which is another
Pub culture, okay, yeah.
that we don't really have an equivalent for here in the States. Like we do have the going to the bar.
Yeah.
Like How I Met Your Mother, they go to the bar.
Or Cheers.
Cheers,
But it's not quite the same thing as going to the pub in the UK. Another big trope in British comedy TV is pedo jokes.
I mean, I love kids, not in a bad way, in a nice way. I mean, I'm not on the child protection register. Yet.
Oh gosh.
Which proves I'm not a pedo.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so I feel that certain things are unacceptable.
Hold on. That's really a big thing. I have never seen that so far. Up until now.
Yeah, me either.
Okay.
All right.
Acceptable to joke about in America, or at least highly frowned upon by many people. So I don't think that American comedy could get away with that genre of humor.
This is...
Okay, yeah, I'm sitting here trying to put that into like a regular American sitcom or something. I don't know if that would go over as well here.
Probably not. I mean, most things I feel like I can joke about, but that's one thing that's just not really that funny to me personally.
Yeah, it's not. Like when you have a kid, it's just like, but that is very interesting though. I don't even know if that could go over at all in the US. You know what I mean?
Which is probably why it doesn't.
Yeah.
Going horribly. Need a joke. Either that or I'm an incredibly hard to detect pedo.
Another trope that we've noticed in British TV is going for a curry or
Going for
ordering
curry.
a curry.
Chicken boner, lamb boner, prawn boner, mushroom rice, bag of chips, keema naan, and 9 poppadom.
I don't know, just the way they talk about eating curry is different in British television.
This is funny that they bring this up because we just watched the Red Dwarf Night cooking comedy special thing. And they were making curry, which I thought was kind of random and strange considering it's a British show. But you hear a lot of mention about curry.
Yeah, you definitely do. Yeah.
Television as opposed to like American TV. It's not as common of an ethnic food over here in the States, I want to say.
Here it would be more of like Mexican food.
That's insane.
I find the whole trope conversation super fascinating. So if you guys have any additional tropes to add, whether it be American TV or British TV, please drop those down in the comments because this is a
I can't believe I didn't think about the pubs to begin with.
Though, the next thing we wanted to talk about is plot lines, how the plot develops in British TV and American TV.
In America, the bog standard sort of plot line for most TV series goes something like this. You have a character, they have a goal. Something arises to prevent them from meeting this goal. They overcome this opposition and the series or episode ends with them achieving their goal. and everything's happy and rainbows and roses. And
I would say that's
I've
probably
never really
accurate.
thought about it.
I'd
but
say that's
yeah.
accurate.
And
Yeah.
just you repeat that 20 times per season. Meanwhile, across the pond, the standard plot in British shows goes like this. The protagonist has a goal, something happens to derail that plan, to which the protagonist responds by shooting themselves in the foot, sticking that foot in their mouth, and then the episode ends with them significantly worse off than when it began. I feel like this happens in almost all of British TV.
Oh my
Trainer.
goodness.
That's that self-deprecation
Yeah.
that I was talking about.
Yep.
Yep. I think that is a huge part. I've seen that talked about in the comments section, how that is a huge part of British comedy specifically, but I'm sure it goes further than just comedy as well.
Wreck after
it
train
is
wreck.
everything that could go wrong does go wrong.
Murphy's Law.
Like the one time Mark is trying to become a tour guide or whatnot, and then Jeremy goes on and on to his boss or his potential boss about having a wanking disease.
It's a disease, a wanking disease. I done the downloading, and then I done a wank.
Yeah, Peep Show is a really great example. One of our favorite British shows ever. That is such a great show. But every single episode follows this exact plot line where Mark and Jeremy end off significantly worse than when they begin the episode.
Other examples of this common plotline include Faulty Towers, Dairy Girls, Blackadder, Only Fools and Horses, etc., etc., etc.
This difference in plotline is actually something that really shocked us the first time we encountered it. Dairy Girls was one of the first British TV shows we ever watched, and I remember in one episode, the girls are really excited because they want to go to Paris, but problem, they don't have any money. And I remember thinking, oh my gosh, this is gonna be so much fun. We're gonna see them raise money, overcome this obstacle, and this episode's gonna end in Paris, which is great because I love Paris.
And we were in Paris at the time.
Yeah. So imagine our surprise when that episode just continued to go downhill until it culminated at the end of the episode with them literally catching a house on fire and definitely not going to Paris. That
Oh
was a
my
big shock.
goodness.
It was.
Yeah.
Everything just devolved very steadily into total chaos.
Next,
So, does in the UK does the protagonist ever get their goal?
I don't know. That's a good question.
or is it rare? Because I think when he talked about the American side of this, I would say that's accurate. Like, you know, there's always like there's this goal, something happens that gets in their way, but they always overcome it, and at the end they reach their goal and they win and they're happy. And
I think we've kind of touched on this in the past too, like the difference in overall, not to generalize, but overall as a culture, American culture tends to be more of like the optimistic, hopeful, like sunny side of life kind
people
of
said
outlook.
that in the comments.
And then in the UK, it's more like realist, you know, like
real what's
knock
here.
you down a peg to keep you.
That's what I've seen in the comments. Yeah, it's very interesting.
Yeah.
You know, I really want to dive more into that. Not just like on something like the biggest difference between U.S. versus UK TV, but also just in real life, like how that looks.
What's
you know
that
what I mean?
term? Stiff upper lip.
Stiff
Isn't
upper
that,
lip.
Yeah, from the UK.
Yeah.
up, let's talk about the jokes.
Oh gosh.
That is typical.
Right, and to start this section off, I want to talk about stereotypes, because there's definitely stereotypes.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
they're there for a reason. There is some amount of truth to stereotypes.
And I think, there is some truth to the stereotype that British comedies are about making you laugh at the main characters, whereas American sitcoms
Self-deprecation,
and stuff
again.
are about getting you to laugh along with the main characters as they tell witty and incredible jokes.
Yeah.
Another true stereotype is that, on the whole, British jokes tend to be on the darker side, much more dark-humored than American jokes. But now let's transition out of stereotypes and look a little bit at repetition. And this is something we've noticed a lot in British TV, is a lot of repetition. So running jokes are often repeated throughout an
like an
episode
inside joke
or even
kind of
an
thing.
entire series over and over and over again.
Yeah, so that is a difference between British and American TV, where in American TV, we do have running gags and callbacks where, you make a joke and then later in the episode, someone will do a callback to that joke or maybe many episodes later. But kind of a trope in British TV is where you'll have the same exact gag done over and over and over and over again. I think a really good example is Friday Night Dinner.
Yes.
Yeah.
Where in every single episode, the neighbor, Jim, always comes over, shows up at the front door, the family opens the front door, and then there's this really whole awkward exchange with Jim standing there being all weird and confused.
Good dog. Is he? Wilson? Which it was really funny the first, 12 times it happened, but then by season 2, it was getting really old where every single episode features the same exact joke of Jim ringing the doorbell and then awkward exchange.
I wonder why that is.
Something. He always wants to see the mom. He's terrified of his dog.
Yeah.
And he doesn't remember which boy is which.
Just repeated ad nauseum. And to continue picking on Friday Night Dinner, other repetitive jokes are how the dad is always taking his shirt off, how the boys call each other piss face and puss face, how they're always trying to put salt in each other's drinks.
Oh, yeah.
There's always a family fight.
Oh, always about the females.
Yeah, the female.
The females.
Yeah.
Dad, stop saying females. So yeah, we did not enjoy that aspect of British sitcoms. But something we did enjoy was all of the awkward humor.
Now, I do think American TV does have plenty of awkward moments too, though. Arrested Development, for example. Tobias is commonly creating awkward tension with his Freudian slips about being gay.
There are very few intelligent, attractive, and straight men in this town.
Well, that certainly leaves me out.
And that creates an awkward moment.
I love awkward moments.
On awkward humor.
Yeah, well, I think that is true that both British and American TV do have awkward humor in them. I think British TV does it in a different way because, like, in American TV, the awkward humor or tension that's created by awkward humor is instantly released by, like, a punchline or a joke. It's not extended, it's not drawn out, whereas in British TV, these awkward moments tend to last and just get worse.
Oh, so the cringe factor is turned up probably.
It's turned up quite a few notches. Sounds like, yeah.
And worse and worse.
That's true. That's making me think of Peep Show because, again,
Peep Show,
freaking brilliant show. But the episode where his family comes over for Christmas, so many awkward moments.
I notice I'm not saying anything. Still not saying anything?
Yeah, I think that the awkward tension in British TV generally makes you want to, like, claw your eyeballs out or just curl up in a ball and die, whereas in American TV, it's very short-lived and finishes with a laugh.
Yes, that's true. And then I gotta end this section with a callback to one of the most awkward moments I've ever experienced in my life of watching television. Well, that makes it sound like I spent my life watching television. But one of the most awkward moments in TV I've ever seen is the Peep Show episode with the dog.
Not the dog. Not the dog. Shit, the dog.
Mummy!
With Mummy, where Jeremy accidentally kills the dog and then the episode ends with them eating the dog.
What's going on, Jeremy?
Nothing. This is turkey. Look. See? Disgusting turkey.
Oh.
Okay, there's that dark humor that he was talking about.
Oh, the poor dog.
I actually like that a lot. I like the dark humor a little bit.
Yeah.
You know?
I gotta be in the mood for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it.
Still, like, it just makes me feel terrible inside.
I got chills just from thinking about it.
Man.
And not in a good way.
Moving on from awkward, painful humor, let's talk about sex and nudity.
Ooh!
So, what's the stereotype?
I think the stereotype from an American perspective is that British TV tends to show a lot of sex and nudity. Like, we have this idea that just kind of like anything goes on British TV.
Yeah, we
I'm
don't
kind of surprised
really
by
know
that.
I'm actually surprised by that too. Now, I do know, from seeing certain clips and whatnot, that the jokes can be a little bit dark sometimes, like they're talking about. I understand the self-deprecation and other things, but, like, I guess I just haven't seen enough to actually notice, what they're talking about here.
Watershed. And also, in the UK, I feel like a lot of British people have this stereotype of American TV that it's, kind of devoid of nudity, and that British TV is much more progressive
Really?
in that
That's
way.
interesting.
But after
like
spending
there's a lot.
2020 watching British TV and American TV, I think that this is not true. I think it may have been true several decades ago, back during the 80s, when British TV would have been more progressive in that regard. But these days, content being produced right now, they're about the same.
Yeah, I feel like.
Yeah.
I would say they're about the same. I don't think there's, like, it wouldn't stand out to me that there's more nudity.
Oh, first of all, I love maple syrup, but oh my gosh.
That is hilarious. Okay, I'm sorry, guys. I gotta go look at that one
I
scene
wonder
again.
what show that is.
It wouldn't stand
I don't
out
know.
to me that there's more nudity.
Oh, that's so awkward.
Oh, what's his name?
Michael Cera.
Yeah. So I don't know what TV show this is, but it looks funny on the surface. I don't know. So obviously, she for some reason didn't seem to know that was a suit that he has on, and then he gets in, and it just.
Oh my god.
Okay, that's hilarious.
In British TV than in
Yeah.
American TV.
I think where a country that would actually raise the bar there would be France, where French TV has significantly more nudity.
I don't know why
than
I thought
both
that was the
UK
case, but
and
for some
the US
reason,
Yeah.
at a noticeable degree.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're watching British TV and American TV, it's about, you don't really notice a difference because it's about.
I love Michael Scott.
Similar stereotype is violence, because people always say that American TV is violent, British TV is more nude.
Nude.
I would disagree with both of those. Like, British TV is extremely violent. Have you guys seen the Peaky Blinders?
I need to. I
This
want
is
to.
also
Yeah.
a bit debunked now. Maybe in the past, again, maybe in
We're
the
about to
80s,
do that.
American TV was a lot more violent, but these days it does feel very similar on both sides.
Next, let's talk about values and messages. We've noticed that in many American TV shows, there seems to be an underlying message or a set of values that the show is trying to communicate. For example, in How I Met Your Mother, I feel that something they're trying to communicate in the show is the importance of having good friends that you can trust. Similar messages to Parks and Rec. It's like all about your friends and your community.
Yeah, and Arrested Development, even though it's this dysfunctional family, at the end of every episode, it communicates this message that family matters, value your parents, value the relationships you have with your siblings. So even though it's a comedy, these messages are still really strong and being shared.
On the other hand, we haven't really noticed any communication of values in British TV. So like, while Friday Night Dinner is about family, I don't feel it's communicating the same thing as like Arrested Development, because all the family does in Friday Night Dinner is fight, and at the end of the episode, there's no resolution to any of their disagreements or fights. There's no like, oh, but we're all family, and we know that that's all that really matters. It's
What do you think about that?
I want to say that surprises me, but it really doesn't, I guess, because of what we were talking about with the difference in overall culture of sunny optimism in the US versus realistic self-deprecation in the UK.
And that's not just us saying that. I've seen that said so many times in the comments from Brits that seems to be a difference between the US and UK, what you just said.
A lot of times I feel like you guys look at us as naive, and that may be the case in comparison to you guys. Yeah, that might be true.
Where did that start? Like, why?
I don't remember where that conversation came from.
Well, I'm not talking about the conversation. I'm talking about where did that start, that in America, everything seems to be so optimistic and whatnot.
I think I know why.
Why?
Because here in America, we're a young country. We haven't ever had to go through the things that people in the UK have
very true. That's kinda what I was thinking
generationally
of.
had to on their soil.
Yeah, you guys own your soil. You know, although America's been involved in war and whatnot, we never, well, at least since the Civil War, haven't had any major conflicts on our soil, really. And so you guys have.
Right. You guys are more
1940s.
realistic or realist in that way, I guess.
Yeah.
Because, you know, you've experienced the realities of...
We've had the, 9/11 and stuff. But
right, but on the scale
on a mass scale, I think maybe that has something to do with it.
I think that's a big part of it.
Yeah.
Or just some disaster happens and everyone ends up fighting. Have you noticed any values that British TV is trying to communicate?
I guess if you were to pull a message or value system out of British TV, it would be something along the lines of, everyone's a up, to err is human, we're all ugly, and that's okay. Yes?
Yeah, I guess so. Which I guess is a good message on the whole.
Nobody's perfect.
Sort of way.
No one's perfect,
Don't
yeah.
feel too bad about when you mess up, because everyone messes up.
And there's always somebody who's more of a up and uglier than you.
That's kind of it. But this is a really interesting
That's
topic that I'd love to
interesting.
toss to you guys down in the comment section. When it comes to the values and messages, do you agree with us here, or are there certain values and sentiments in British TV that we're missing out on, maybe because we're not British? We're not able to decipher those clues.
You know, I think there is something to that too. If you're not British, you may be missing out on certain subtle, language that you don't
Right.
quite understand or whatnot. Certain jokes and things that may not
The
give you the
nuance,
full picture.
yeah.
You know, I think we've even seen that in some of the clips we've done. Although we generally understand most of the jokes and stuff, there it does come a point.
There are things that go over our heads.
Yeah, obviously. And I think no matter what country you're in, if you look at another country's television, you're going to have that happen from
Yeah,
time
if
to
you
time.
didn't grow up in that culture,
Right.
it's going to be hard to really...
Fully grasp the
Yeah,
culture in
to
every way.
understand.
Yeah.
Those hidden messages.
For example, maybe the message in Friday Night Dinner isn't about family, it's about learning to love your neighbor, Jim. Now let's run through some of the miscellaneous differences that we noticed. For example, palatability across the pond. Basically what I mean is American TV shows are easier for an international audience to understand, whereas British TV shows tend to require British culture and knowledge in order
I
to
could
get
see
the
that.
joke,
That's
especially with
interesting.
sitcoms and comedies. And I think the reason for this is that American TV has to appeal to all of America in order to be successful, and so
Oh.
tends to forego a lot of niche or subculture
True.
jokes and
That makes
references.
sense.
Whereas British TV doesn't really have that need to appeal to as many millions of people, and so they can really dive into those really
Niche
specific
things, yeah.
subculture jokes. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I would definitely agree with you. That's why it was really hard for me to get into any British shows at the beginning, because it requires a certain level of knowledge about British culture in order to understand.
Okay, that's really interesting to think about because it tells me that where I'm at now with my knowledge about the UK, if I sat down to watch a given British TV show, I'm way more likely to probably understand it at this point than I was 2 years ago.
Thing. I mean, you're bound to, because like when you started and when I started, we didn't know like anything about British culture.
Very true.
So,
That's interesting though, isn't it?
yeah, it is.
A good example of this is panel shows. How way back when we first started getting into British culture content, we started watching panel shows, but they weren't nearly as funny and we didn't get them because they make so many cultural references. But now, if we're watching 8 out of 10 Cats or QI, they're way more funny because we get the people they're talking about. I've read Private Eye, so I get the joke. Yeah, you know, it's there's so much context that you need to know in order to get a lot of British comedy. American shows, in order for them to be successful in the US, they have to get rid of
More general.
those jokes in order
Yeah.
to sell.
That's true, because there are things that are specific to Pacific Northwest culture or LA culture or the South, but if they just appealed to that specific audience, you're losing money, man.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's about
I did just think of
profit.
an American show that does require specific cultural knowledge and context. So one American show which is similar to British TV in this way is the show Portlandia, which is a show all about the subculture of Portland, Oregon, and the hippie, hipster,
Keep
crunchy
Portland weird. That
trends
vibe.
Yeah.
and people that live there. People in the Pacific
That is
Northwest
their
really
slogan.
enjoy that show because it makes fun of all the stereotypes and the in-jokes and things that we get. But that would never compare with How I Met Your Mother or Arrested Development because it requires very specific cultural knowledge in order to get the jokes.
Another miscellaneous difference that we noticed is in sincerity. So in American TV, sincere, genuine moments are pretty common. I would say like in most sitcoms, there's one genuine moment in each episode. Across the pond, on the other hand, I feel that nearly every genuine moment turns into a piss take.
Piss take.
If you
joke.
continue watching, it becomes a piss take.
That's a really good observation. So when you're talking about genuine moments, you mean like, for example, Arrested Development. We just watched an episode last night where Michael and his son, they have a nice heart-to-heart where they talk about, you know, what really matters in life. And it's sweet. And there's no joke. It's actually sweet. But in British TV, that situation is always a joke.
Yeah, I cannot recall a single time where a genuine moment didn't turn out to be a joke.
The one example I can think of in British TV where they almost have a genuine moment is at the very end of Peep Show. Last episode, spoiler alert, Jeremy and Mark are sitting in the living room and, you know, it's back to where we started. It's just the two of them in the house and they have this sweet moment and they express these sweet sentiments to each other, how they appreciate each other. And then, of course,
a sweet
it cuts
moment.
to an inner monologue of Mark saying,
I simply must get rid of him.
and so it becomes a joke.
So all of our observations boil down to this one question. Which is better, American TV or British TV?
Clearly French TV.
The best of all.
Is the best of all. No, I think it's really subjective and it's impossible to say. Different people can find different things legitimately funny for different reasons.
And that's okay.
That's okay. So maybe a better question is, which do you prefer to watch?
Oh man, for me it just depends on mood, because if I'm in the mood for something that
Lighthearted.
feel good,
Yeah.
lighthearted, if I've just had a really long day of work and I'm tired, usually I will choose to watch an American sitcom like How I Met Your Mother or Arrested Development or Parks and Rec.
Parks and Rec
Like
is
these are all
such a good feel-good show.
Such a good feel-good show.
Yeah.
If, on the other hand, I'm in the mood for something witty, something that will require a little bit of mental exercise,
Yeah.
because British humor doesn't come naturally.
A little
to me.
harder.
As you can tell,
Yeah.
I'm not a Brit. Then I will watch British TV.
I think you're right. If I've had a really hard work day and I'm just mentally exhausted, it's American TV. But if I
Brainless,
haven't had a hard
yeah.
work
That's
day
true.
and I feel like laughing my guts out, British TV.
For sure.
Yeah. Don't stop watching yet because we have some huge questions for you. I wanted to take this opportunity to present you with some questions from Americans about the UK's TV tastes, and hopefully we can get some answers. Do you want to go first?
Where are all of the adult cartoons in the UK? So like here in the
that's
US, we have
interesting.
Family Guy, we have American
Simpsons.
Dad, we have Bob's Burgers, we have Futurama, and all of these are cartoons, but they are geared towards adults. Whereas in the UK,
Yeah.
I cannot think of a single cartoon that is made for adults.
That's interesting. I didn't realize that. But we do have a ton here.
Yeah.
And remember back in the day on MTV, there used to be like Beavis and Butthead, Daria.
Yeah. What's
I don't remember.
what's
King of the Hill.
King of the Hill, that's what I was
Like,
thinking of.
I personally don't like that because I think for kids it can be misleading. You know, they see a cartoon, they automatically think it's for them. But yeah,
I always
didn't realize there was a
I always
difference.
enjoyed the adult cartoons.
they're
You know,
fun.
not all of them, but I liked King of the
Family
Hill,
Guy.
Family Guy, Simpsons for a while. There's a few more, but that is interesting. Like I had never thought of it, but I have never seen a Brit actually recommend an adult a cartoon or
From
anything
the
like that.
UK, yeah.
Yeah. Do you guys actually have those? You know,
Yeah, that's.
Yeah.
I didn't realize. It
yeah,
was not a
I've
thing.
literally. That's a good question because I've literally never even thought about that.
And if you know why that doesn't exist, maybe you guys tried it and it just never took off, why doesn't British culture like those sorts of animated shows?
Let us know.
Let us know. Another question. This one could be offensive, I'm sorry. But Bake Off. Let's talk about Bake Off. That was really fun. We
cooking
watched Bake Off for the
shows.
first time this year. And one question, huge question I had throughout the whole thing is, why are the comic relief characters, you know, the two guys that walk around and crack jokes, why are they so bloody boring? There are so many incredible comics in the UK, but the comic relief on Bake Off are like, they're the equivalent of having an American dad puttering around the kitchen cracking jokes. And now we're going to turn the
I've never
conversation
seen
over
that.
to you guys.
All right, guys, that was really interesting,
Yeah,
and
it
I want to say right off the bat, Peep Show looks like a really good show. I think
Super awkward,
yeah,
but-
super awkward. I think I would
But,
really
yeah.
enjoy that one. I definitely want to try that one out sometime. At least start looking at some clips or something.
Yeah, I feel like at this point we can't really say which we like better because I've never really seen much UK TV.
Not in full.
No.
Because honestly, we don't watch a lot of TV. We do watch occasionally, but you know, when you have a kid, you have way less time to sit down and watch TV shows and really get into
let's be
a
honest,
show.
I prefer to read over watch TV.
Yeah, that is thing. Like, every once in a while we'll sit down and watch something, but usually it's like a movie or something.
And I feel like a lot of the times we just go back to shows we love because we know we like.
You know how many times I've watched Son and Sons of Anarchy? I've probably watched that show like
or Breaking Bad or Dexter.
Yeah,
like
Breaking Bad, Dexter,
shows.
Prison Break. Those are 4 of my favorite shows.
Yeah.
But I definitely want to find the time to actually explore more British TV in full. I love the clips though. I love the bloopers. I think clips and bloopers give you a good overview of what the show's kind of going to be like.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good way to kind of gauge a show if it's something that you would like to pursue further.
Yeah.
But yeah, guys, this was a very interesting list, and it definitely gave me some things to ponder.
Yeah, they made really good points.
I'm actually shocked at how prepared they were making this this difference list here.
Yeah,
really 18 differences. I going into this, couldn't imagine how they would come up with that many, but this was a really good list, guys. We would love for you to let us know, do you think the things they brought up in this list were accurate? And again, something they brought up here at the end. Where are the British adult cartoons?
Also, aside from that, what is the messaging? Is there messaging in British sitcoms? Or is it all just self-deprecation and chaos?
Self-deprecation is huge. Another one that I'm curious about, guys, is that I've never, and this might exist, but I've never seen anyone bring it up in the comment section or anything. And that is here, I grew up with MTV, and it used to be full-on music television. Then it started getting, some other stuff on it.
They started turning into reality TV.
And eventually it went full-on reality TV. But my point is, do you guys in the UK have something that was the equivalent of MTV
that appealed to teenagers
and early 20s, specific back in the day,
Yeah.
to where it was you would see the best British music all the time. Before, MTV was pretty awesome back in the 80s and then throughout part of the 90s.
And a little bit of the early 2000s.
Yeah, but by the time it got to around the early 2000s, it had transitioned over to just trashy reality TV. And that brings me to another question, guys. Not that I want to watch a ton of reality TV.
But how popular is it in the UK?
How popular is it? And what are, if you have, I'm sure, I know you have reality TV. What was that one we came
There's Love Island UK I know of.
Yeah, but I'm talking about one that was oh man, what's that show in America? And we were wondering, is that similar? It was about the Jersey Shore.
Oh!
You remember that?
Geordie Shore?
Geordie Shore.
Yeah, I think it was real. Somebody said it in the comments.
I know, but is that the equivalent of Jersey Shore?
Yeah.
Not that I want to watch Jersey Shore. I don't want to watch Jersey Shore, although Geordie Shore might be very interesting because it gives
the cultural differences
ideas about the culture. Cool. So, anyways, guys, this is a very interesting topic. Please let us know in the comments section, what do you think they got right or wrong about their list? And also, please feel free to recommend certain shows. The classics, obviously, but also...
Yeah, we've gotten recommended Faulty Towers.
Right, but also things we were saying, Geordie Shore, for example. Is that worth checking out specifically for the cultural enrichment that we would gain?
Enrichment.
Well, understanding the culture of the area. I think that might be fascinating to us.
And to hear the accents and stuff.
Right, because I feel like just like Jersey Shore, not that I've really ever watched it, but I know that it's kind of over the top and stuff. And
the stereotype.
Right, and so it'd be interesting to see what that looks like in a British perspective, the over-the-top, cultural aspects of this area.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But anyways, guys, we're rambling. Thank you so much for stopping by. We appreciate you. Please click that like button. Feel free to drop your comments or suggestions about this video or others. And don't forget to subscribe to continue to follow us on our journey. Until next time, guys. Peace.
Bye.